Hey there, everybody. How are you doing? It's me, Chris Herman, here for another episode of On Deck. I do apologize. I'm a little stuffed up. Picked up a little bit of a head cold or something over the last week. I do not have COVID because I have been tested. However, if my voice sounds off a little bit, that is why. But nevertheless, we must forge ahead with another episode of On Deck, recorded right here at the Herman Agency in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hope you've all had a great holiday season, and let's get into it. I wanted to talk about a topic today, and that topic is creativity. You know, I was here late last night at the office, as I am usually at least once a week, and you know, sometimes I'm working on work and client stuff. Sometimes I'm working on projects. Sometimes I'm playing guitar. Sometimes I'm just wandering around and looking at the place and fiddling around with whatever little organizational projects that I might find. But, you know, whenever I'm able to have the opportunity to be here alone and quiet amongst myself and just observe the space and think about what it is that we do here, I feel a great sense of peace and joy. I love it here. And B, you know, I look around and I see a creative project, right? I see something that I've been able to put together with the help of a lot of great people that is reflective of my creativity. So last night as I was here, I was thinking I'd like to talk a little bit more about creativity today. And where my creative journey began. You know, when I was a kid, really young as I can remember, I remember having, you know, a number of different toys when I was a kid that were all sort of construction-based / creative. The first, if I remember correctly, was something called Lincoln logs. They were like little wood, you know, timber beams that you could make a little cabin out of and a roof. I remember thinking that was really cool. Then there was another thing called the erector set, which was, you know, if you remember, those of you old enough to remember, this is going back to the 70s, was like a metal, you know, like a, you know, cheap metal kind of assembly thing where you could screw things together and create structures out of, you know, little metal strips. I didn't like that as much. I don't know. I don't know why. I think it was maybe there was too many parts. Or something. But the thing that really took hold of me, and I don't remember the sequence, so I could be getting the sequence wrong, but for many people of my generation, and quite frankly of any generation, it was Legos. It was Legos that just captivated my mind and my creativity, and I could spend literally a whole day, you know, locked in my room with a huge pile of Legos, just creating and building stuff. And you know, if you remember back then, there wasn't so many of these like highly specific kits where it was like, okay, here's the Millennium Falcon, or here's, you know, an X-Wing fighter. But it was more just like you had the bricks of different sizes, and it was, you know, they would give you some guides on here's how to build a house, here's how to build this. But it was you weren't locked into one particular design at that time. And I remember just spending hours. And at first it was always building houses and different types of houses and laying them out, you know, and then it was, you know, getting into organizing the colors into different tiers. So not only were you building something cool, but it had like a nice aesthetic to it. And over the years, I spent an inordinate, I'm not sure how you say that word, you know what I mean, a lot of time in my room playing with Legos. Because it was really like whatever you could dream up in your mind, you could then build it. And I just loved that. Had a good friend of mine. We would build Lego cars and smash them into each other. But I think that was really, you know, looking back at that time in my life, Legos were the thing that really got me, you know, got my creative juices flowing. And so I'm going to kind of touch on a few different things that I was influenced creatively as a child, and then kind of parallel to what I do today. You know, the Legos thing has never stopped for me. I just use different parts now. Any of you that have been to the office here, you know, can look around and see that we've got, you know, all kinds of different technology things, you know, from different camera rigs and setups to guitars and amps and a stage and drums and all kinds of stuff. And in some way, assembling all of these into the collection that we have that we now use on a regular basis has been, you know, an extension of my my love of Legos. It was like taking parts and putting something together and trying to put, like the perfect design and create the perfect thing with whatever tools and pieces you have to build. And we've been able to do that here at the office, and that's why I like spending so much time here. But it definitely goes back to my time with Legos. Jumping back in time, the next thing that I really got into was drawing. And I will say I was never really a particularly good artist, wasn't a painter, sculptor, or anything. I mean, I messed around with all of it through the years in school, and I enjoyed it. But somehow just doodling cartoons and constantly doodling cartoons when I was a kid is really another thing that started to develop my creative abilities. Now, I can say that my cartoon doodling as a child has not translated as much into my adult life and the creative business, but it did give me, doodling and being in arts class, throughout high school and into college a little bit. It definitely gave me a foundational perspective on how to lay out ads when I finally got into advertising. And that was, almost 25 years ago. But there was still a lot of newspaper ads being done for car dealers. And so I really enjoyed, each week, Monday, Tuesday, when it was time to think about like, what's the new ad, what's the new layout. I took a particular sense of enjoyment and pride in laying out the ads, kind of drawing them out how I wanted the headline to be and the subcopy and how we placed the cars and where the offers went, what they look like and what the colors were. In fact, I think I definitely irritated the art department because I was an account executive. So technically I should have just given them the information and let them go. But I just enjoyed, the process of creating it so much, of drawing it out, laying it out, that a lot of my work that went into the art department was pretty well hashed out before it went in there, just based on the fact that I'd always done, doodling and drawing. And so, I really, there was actually a transfer. It's not that I still doodle or draw. And sometimes I wish I did when I look at Gary Vaynerchuk, who just recently released his, Gary's Kids or Gary V's NFT drop, and I think he brought in like $91 million. Now he brought that in because he's got a huge audience. I mean, you can't do that if you're just a nobody, but the fact that he was able to take his lifelong love of just doodling little things and turn that into meaningful revenue is really cool. Again, bouncing back and forth. So, it was Legos, then it was drawing, and then it was music. I think I mentioned before, my dad had left a guitar behind. My parents separated when I was a kid, and my dad left an acoustic guitar behind. And as soon as I could get my hands on that thing, man, I was all over it. I just couldn't put it down. I found a way to put a little like dictaphone microphone inside the sound hole. I duct taped it in there and plugged it into my stereo. So I created my own first electric guitar, if you will, which sounded really sloppy and distorted, but at the time I loved it. And, throughout my high school years and into college, playing guitar and being a musician, that was like one of my fundamental goals in life. I don't know that I ever dreamed of being like a rock star per se. I don't know that was never really like my number one ambition. I just wanted to play music. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to perform and write music and perform it. And I did that for a number of years in college. I had a band called Where's the Bishop? And we were like a heavy hard rock, punk, funk, metal kind of, I don't know what you would have called us. We had a lot of heavier influences, and, we played around a lot for many, about 3-4 years in northern Colorado. And that really fulfilled a childhood fantasy for me of just playing music that to this day still exists. I mean, I still play guitar as much as I possibly can. I've got some friends of mine that we play music together here. We've taken a little break, but we're getting back to it. And playing music, I mean, I've built a whole, you can't see, but like if I look right out here, like we have a large, about, what is it? Let's see, 12 by 18 or 12 by 20 foot stage with drums and guitar amps and bass amps and keyboards and a DJ setup. I mean, it's like a pro setup here. It's kind of crazy when you come to the office and you see it for the first time. It's like, whoa, what the hell is this doing here? But it's just something that just started with a creative idea, creative spark, and grew from there, and I've just, been able to grow it into something that is now really cool, and we're going to use the space here for a number of different things. But again, it all goes back to, stuff from childhood, music and guitar playing and performance. And then that kind of turned into when I started getting into my professional life of realizing that I enjoyed public speaking and standing on stage and giving presentations. And as I got my own company and had to go out and pick up business, I mean, the one of the real thrills is to put the presentation together and go out and make the presentation. It's like your own kind of song and dance act, if you will. And so it's just, it's interesting to me that, because I don't, like, when I fundamentally look at myself and I think about myself day to day, I don't always think like, yes, I'm a creative person. I mean, I am. I also think of myself as a business person and a professional and a husband and a father and a number of other things. And I think one of the reasons why I definitely, have never referred to myself, quote unquote, as an artist is because I don't view myself that way. I had all these creative impulses when I was a kid, whether it was creating with Legos or drawing or music or performance event or any of that stuff. But there was still always this part of me, and I think it goes to the fact that I grew up around the car business, and my dad was a dealer, and having experienced a number of different things that as a young kid not everybody gets to experience, and I'm amazingly grateful for it. Amazingly grateful. I mean, I'm grateful, and it doesn't need an extra adjective. But I had some opportunities to travel with my dad when I was young, and that required that I, know how to dress appropriately and how to go out to dinner and behave accordingly with adults and what have you. And so I never, that kind of combination of influences of all the creative things that I enjoyed doing as a kid, and my dad's, business world experience with the car business kind of shaped me into the person that I am, which is a creative person, also a business person. I mean, I'm just as happy wearing, a really nice suit and going to a business meeting as I am wearing t-shirts and jeans and sneakers and playing guitar here in my office. So it's a balance. But at this stage of my life, having just turned 50 not too long ago, it is satisfying to be able to see multiple paths of life, meaning, these creative influences that I had as a kid and was able to continue to develop through my life. The business interests that came along as a result of my dad's exposure and help and tutelage and guidance. Also, my health and fitness, which is important to me, although I'm totally slacking on it right now. Like, having all these things move forward and still be a part of my life and all merging together into the life that I have now, which is something that I can say is in many ways a lot to do with my own creation. And when I was a kid, people would ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I don't know, but whatever it is, I want it to be of my own creation. And, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sweat and tears, trust me, to get to a point where you're able to pull all your loves and your passions and your knowledges and your experiences together into something that is not only sustaining financially, but sustaining and fulfilling in many ways. I'm really blessed and really thankful for that. And it wouldn't have happened, something different would have happened. But the fact that as a kid, I just got into these different creative things. Not to say I wasn't into sports, not as much as anybody else, but I always competed at something, more individual stuff, racing bikes or ski racing and stuff like that. But this creative thing with me has always been a part of my life. It still is. And, I'm fundamentally satisfied with that and excited to know that, even still, our industry right now, the retail automotive industry is, it's still jacked up. And is going to be in a challenging position from a dealers wanting or needing to really go out there and hit it hard with their marketing. We got another year of that. We're prepared for that here at the agency, and I'm prepared for that mentally, far more so than last year. I didn't think we really saw this year coming last year, but now I do. But there still is, and even more so, I think, now that most of the digital avenues have really set in, the need for good creativity to work with a business that really understands and is fundamentally creative, is important. Telling your story is important. Branding is important. I know there are some people out there that are very direct response or just, real focused on the digital metrics, and that's good too. But what you say about yourself and your business and how you do it and the quality with which you do it is extremely important. I just was listening to another Gary Vee podcast on the way into work yesterday. He was addressing, I can't remember, some Game Changers conference or something. I think it was in Atlanta a few months ago. And he couldn't have stated with more conviction how important it is to have good creativity, to have good, he uses the word ads, it sounds like such an old thing to say ads, but to make sure that your video for your business or your personal brand is really good. It's important. It's really important how you tell your story and draw people into your world so that you can ultimately transact. And so that gives me a lot of hope, not even hope, it just gives me a sense of comfort of knowing that my life's path, my life's passions and creativity have led me to a place in the world right now where I've been able to, with the help of a lot of great people, create something really special that can help our clients create something really special. And that means a lot to me. Would have never thought, 40 years ago when I was sitting in my room playing with Legos, or maybe even more than that this, this thought process, this creative ability to assemble stuff and build things and then draw and then make music, had no idea that would be leading to something where at the age of 50, I can look around the environment that I share with our crew and say, yeah, we've got a real creative space here. We've got a real creative opportunity. We've got real creative talent. And that's not because of me. It's just because we all somehow forged down this path, and here we are. And what an exciting time it is for creativity in the form of being able to express yourself easily with graphics, with video, with music, how you can distribute it quickly to the population, and the ever-changing landscape of how creativity is distributed, which I'm going to discuss in a companion piece to this topic. It's really an amazing time for creative people to not only to be able to create, but to also finally earn the type of money that they should be earning based on these amazing efforts that so many great creative people have brought to the table. So yeah, that's the topic for today. Creativity. It's an amazing thing. Creativity it's not just art and music. I mean, it's cooking, it's painting, it's gardening. I mean, there's just so many ways for each and every one of us to express ourselves creatively. And I encourage you, if you have those types of leanings, go for it, enjoy it. You'll value the experience of doing so. So there we have it. My chit chat here on creativity. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Again, I apologize. I'm a little bit stuffed up, but we powered through. And I can say that if you find this content useful and interesting, please subscribe to the Herman Agency channel. Some people like to say, smash the like button. Smash it. I mean, come on, just press the like button, hit the like button, hit the bell so you can get notifications. And please leave a comment if there is anything that you would like to further discuss with me. Chris Herman here for On Deck or On Deck. Yes, I am on deck. Thanks so much, y'all. Have a great day.